Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for attending today. We're excited to get started with our first official meeting to kick off the Digital Equity Accelerator and to help you all understand our offerings and how to go through our application. So we're going to introduce ourselves and then tell you a little bit about the program, and then we'll open the floor to questions. Feel free to post anything in the chat. We'll address those after our brief presentation. And we'll have a little bit of discussion that hopefully gives you some insight on where we stand and on how we can help you process the application. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're really excited that you made some time to speak with us and to learn more about our program, which we're really thrilled to have launched earlier this month. So as Andrew mentioned, my name is Jennifer Atala. I am the lead for the Digital Equity Accelerator, which is an initiative housed in Aspen Digital and in collaboration with HP. We are just absolutely thrilled to be piloting this project together with HP in 3 of our target countries, one of which obviously is India, and that's why we're here today. And yeah, Andrew, my colleague here, is our project coordinator, and he's been instrumental from the beginning of the design of the program. And so hopefully between the 2 of us, we will be able to answer questions you have. And I will tell you up front that we're probably not going to have all the answers to your questions. And we will definitely take your questions with us if we are unable to answer them today on this call and get back to you. One other thing I'll mention up front is that the application process, as you know from reviewing our website and our application guidelines, is going to be an anonymous process. And so if you know, we see your names here on the screen today, we'll hear your questions. We will not be able to identify those same names or organizations necessarily in the application because it is anonymized. And so just for your awareness, we do appreciate you showing up and of course asking the questions as you've already started to do. So thank you for that. Andrew, if you'd like to add anything to the intro, feel free, and otherwise we can get started.
No, I think that's great. Thank you for kicking us off.
Sure, thank you.
So that gives a brief overview of where we're going to go. We'll take the next 15 minutes or so to go through the Digital Equity Accelerator, and then we'll take all the time we need to answer your questions. So Jennifer, if you want to start by leading us through the goal, we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm going to do my best to elaborate verbally as much as possible, but of course, feel free to take note of any questions you have, and we will get to them at the end of this brief overview. And I'll just again remind everyone here on the call that we do have all the information that we are going to be sharing verbally today. It is on our website, so www.aspendigitalequity.org, which you can see on the screen. On our website, you will find detailed information about our program, our goals, an FAQ with as many questions as we've been able to anticipate through our stakeholder interviews and otherwise. We will be updating that as well. And we also have a guidelines document, which takes you through every single open-ended answer in the application and gives you some ideas of how to go about answering those questions. So please do make sure to take a look at all of those resources before submitting or even designing your application. So to start, what is this? What are we doing? This is a pilot project. It's our first year doing this, and so we're really excited to learn as much as possible. We are piloting in 3 countries. India is one of these 3, so it'll be India, Morocco, and the US. And we are only going to have 6 nonprofits total in this initial cohort. And so the aim currently is to have 2 from each country. In this accelerator, which is only for nonprofits at this stage, we are planning to use the 4-month program to accelerate innovative approaches to digital equity solutions for traditionally underserved communities that are affected by the digital divide. So this could include, for example, but not necessarily, women and girls, people who are coming from traditionally marginalized race, ethnic, or religious communities, socioeconomic discriminated communities, refugees and internally displaced persons, migrants, people with disabilities, and aging populations, just to name a few. It could be others, but these are the ones that we have identified. and specifically looking at bridging the digital divide in the sectors of economic opportunity, healthcare or public health, and or education. So it doesn't have to be each one of those, but your organization to be eligible to apply needs to have proven some kind of impact in one of these sectors, serving one of these traditionally underserved communities, or at least be able to show us how your definition of that community that you already have made an impact with is aligned with what we are looking for. And I think I'll get into more details in the program in a couple of slides. For our definition of digital equity, we are utilizing the National Digital Inclusion Alliance's definition, which is here on our slide and is also in our resources online. I'm going to read it out to you out loud. We are defining it as a condition in which all individuals and communities have the information technology capacity needed for full participation in our society, democracy, and economy. Obviously, this comes from NDIA. We are breaking it out into 4 different areas. So one area is access or accessibility. So think, for example, about your community's ability to access the internet, access the hardware resources to engage in a digital economy, for example. A second area is digital literacy. Do you have both the technical and the cognitive abilities to engage in the economy or in education or in the public health system, and the ability to use and understand how to use these tools, for example. Representation. Are the communities that we care about represented in the professional spaces that work in the digital economy and digital technology? And also, are the actual tools that we use in the digital economy representative of those and reflective of those in these traditionally underserved communities? So think, for example, about the digital space of education and training as relates to virtual reality, for example. Are the avatars that are presented in those spaces representative of these marginalized communities that may be benefiting from or need to benefit from these tools themselves? And then finally, skills. And these could be soft or hard skills. One thing I will continue to probably repeat throughout this presentation and as well in our conversation is that we have defined this, various aspects of this program, but we are also really excited to see what you have to say. And so that is why our application has a number of opportunities for you to show us why you think the work that you're doing in the communities that you're already serving is aligned with a digital equity accelerator like this. So let's continue. The actual program itself is going to launch early June. It'll be 4 months long. And during that 4 months, the participating organizations are going to receive very direct hands-on mentorship, access to our advisory council, and training. The training itself is going to be in 2 different areas. One is traditional and innovative approaches to leadership and management for nonprofits. The second area is going to be the actual project development for your digital equity idea that you are going to be refining and testing throughout the actual program itself. And if you've seen our application, you know that you will need to have already brainstormed and come up with an idea at this stage. It does not need to be a final idea. In fact, we don't want a final idea. We want you to benefit from the agile process of building that idea, testing it and refining it during our programming in direct interaction with our mentors, who are going to be both growth coaches as well as technical experts across a number of fields. The other aspect of this program is going to be a more than $100,000 US cash grant for each organization. The third is going to be the receipt of technology, hardware technology directly from HP, with the caveat, of course, that we have to rely on supply chain and distribution channels. in this current moment that we're living through. And that's partly why we ask in the application what you already have identified, what needs you have already identified there so that we can prepare. And then finally, we are going to end our program with a demo day, at which case we will have curated specifically a targeted audience of folks, leaders, funders in particular, and any number of organizations and leaders who could benefit the participating organizations. And so that list of audience members will be directly curated based on who is going to be participating in the program, and with the expectation that they will be committing to some kind of support to that organization at that demo day. Following the demo day, we will be checking in with our cohort over a period of months. They will have access to programmatic support from our team. And we're excited to see those digital equity ideas that were developed during the program launch at that stage.
Sorry, Jennifer, one slide ahead. Give me just a moment.
Yeah, no worries.
Let's talk a little bit about our program eligibility. We have the ability to take pretty much anyone who is able to demonstrate their commitment to digital equity within these confines. Obviously, our program is functioning in the United States, India, and Morocco. And we're specifically looking for individuals who are focusing on solving for digital equity in economic opportunity, education, and/or public health and healthcare spaces. Now, this does not necessarily have to be something that you already have set up. We're looking for organizations with impact, but we can happily take organizations that have impact in other spaces that are looking to expand or scale programming to promote digital equity, with the most important thing being that you have targeted impact that you want to achieve. We do require that you are already registered as a nonprofit, and that in India you have FCRA approval. We will need at least one representative to be able to complete all required sessions, which depending on the week and the requirements thereof, roughly 4 to 8 hours per week for at least one senior member of the team. All program sessions are going to be conducted in English. And of course, as this is a digital event, we will require consistent and reliable access to the internet.
Thank you. In terms of selection criteria, what we are looking for, the first thing is the need. Why is participating in this program going to really serve you and the communities that you already serve? So do you have a plan? Do you know why you would need to go through this program? Do you have an idea for how the existing impact you're already making in your communities would be scaled or would be even greater if you were able to spend some time in this intentional program to address a digital equity solution? As Andrew mentioned, you don't already have to be working directly in advancing a digital equity solution, but you do need to have already proven impact in serving the target communities that we care about. And there needs to be a very logical linkage between the work that you currently do and work towards serving digital equity and addressing the digital divide. Do you have a plan for how you would use the cash resources? Why do you need the hardware component? How would you use that towards your organization overall, or perhaps towards this actual project that you will be defining during our program? So what is your need? Have you thought this through? And you don't have to have all the answers, but we need to see that you've thought through what your need is and how you would use it. And it needs to make sense given everything else about your organization, whether it's your annual budget or the number of other programs you have. Maybe it's your annual report. We're going to be looking at all of those factors together holistically. Secondly, your project. How good is your idea? Does it make sense? Does it fit in nicely with our understanding of digital equity? If it doesn't, can you prove to us what you need to do and why, and what we've missed? We don't want to assume that at all, by any means, that we know everything about this subject. We're really excited to hear about your ideas, and we really want to support these ideas as much as possible. Why is your project idea that you want to develop during the program the right solution to the challenge that you are addressing? Have you defined that challenge? Have you identified possible solutions and how your organization is best suited to address and build those solutions? Does this project integrate with your organization's mission? Does it make sense for you to be the ones leading this project? And are you able to actually develop this and launch it during the course of our program, or I should say develop it during our program and then launch it afterwards? Your impact, how you measure the project's impact that you are going to be building during this accelerator. Are the goals of this project SMART? So I'm sure that you guys have all learned and used the SMART goals acronym. What is the project's potential reach? Are you able to define that in some way that makes sense, or at least give us a range, right? And also related to this, we're looking at your organization's overall impact. We are looking absolutely to work with nonprofits that have already proven impact in serving these targeted communities in the sectors that we've listed in our application. As this is a pilot and it's a very small cohort, we need to work with organizations that we are sure will be able to carry this forward to success. And so that is something that you do need to be able to show us in the answers to our questions in the application. And then finally, what is your team? Who is your team? Why are you the best people for this particular job, for this project, for addressing the digital divide in these communities? How are you integrated into your target communities? Is your leadership reflective of these communities? Are you based in these local communities? Are your business practices professionalized? Do you have good accounting systems? Do you have basic level, at least, management skills and leadership skills? And if you're a really small organization, we totally understand that you might not have a full staff. In fact, we would rather work with organizations, I believe, that we could really benefit from every single aspect of this program. So when you're thinking about who your team is, consider who are all of your volunteers. Who are your part-time staff? We ask specifically a question about the number of part-time staff and full-time staff. Who is your board of advisors? Who is your board of directors? We're thinking about the full team, and we're especially interested in who is at the head of that team, because that's the person who will be committing to participate in the full program.
Excellent. And that is the general overview of the accelerator. So thank you all so much. And we hope that that was helpful and clarifying. We will now go through questions and answers. Please post everything in the chat and we will read them off as they come in. So thank you, Jennifer. And without further ado, the first question that we want to bring in is regarding FCRA. They asked whether or not FCRA is going to be something that is required, given the fact that applications have been very much backfilled with the Home Ministry for the past few years, and that it's been a very slow process for a lot of them to get out. Jennifer, if you want to speak to that.
Sure. The short answer is I want to research this a bit further with our respective legal teams and get back to you. So if you would like to give us your email, we're more than happy to follow up on this and give you a hard answer to that question. Our current understanding, and we're of course open to hearing your perspectives as the organizations on the ground, our current understanding is that if you have previous permission, then you should be applicable and able to receive the funding potentially. But I am not a lawyer in this practice, and so I'm not going to tell you that's the final answer. So I would love to get back to you with a firm answer to that question. Ultimately, as you all know much better than we do as organizations and leaders on the ground having to navigate these processes and these requirements, because this is a small cohort and it is a quick turn program, we do have to be able to work with organizations that can legally receive the funding. So I know it's maybe not exactly the right answer you're looking for. It's not a hard yes or a hard no. But number one, we will research this further and get back to you if you provide your email. And number two, it is our current understanding that if you have previous permission, that would be okay, but we're also open to hearing your feedback on that. And of course, we will continue to iterate on that particular question. So thank you for the very good question.
Perfect. The next question comes about the hardware, asking if the hardware component that we mentioned will be a part of the program within this 4-month mentorship period.
Right. So the hardware will come, hopefully. You know, unfortunately, if there's anything we know about living in this current pandemic, it's that we really can't predict timeframes for things like this. And so I will tell you that as soon as our finalists are selected, as soon as they're selected, the same day, our partners at HP are going to have that list, and they're going to start the process of reaching out and understanding what each participating organization's needs are and mobilize that resource towards to you as quickly as possible. So whether, you know, based on supply and need that's aligned and distribution channels at that moment, which we cannot predict, but depending on all of that and all of those factors, you will, you know, whoever is participating will get those resources as quickly as possible. But it's unfortunately we are unable to give you an exact time frame. Obviously, we would hope you would get the resources within, if not, you know, at the launch of the program, but that's obviously something that we can't predict.
Perfect. There's one question I'm going to answer individually in the chat. The next one that I want to bring up for the group is for a large-sized NGO. The project lead can be the nominated person for the mentorship. Yes, in short, we don't completely curtail who can participate as long as they're a senior leader. Jennifer, I think you would agree. They are available for mentorship and they are eligible to be the point of contact. And it's the most recent question that came in the chat.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. You know, it really is going to depend on what your organizational structure looks like overall. So I would assume that if your project lead is running all of, you know, these programs related to this particular issue, that would make sense. But we would want to see what the rest of your organization looks like as well. Yeah. And it's actually, I should also just clarify as I'm rereading the question, it's the person who's going to participate has to participate in all of the sessions. So that means both interacting with the mentors on a weekly basis, whether that's technical expertise or office hours or their growth advisor, and also participating in our weekly workshops and any work that is required throughout the week between sessions.
Excellent.
Do we have any? I would love to take just a moment to read some of the comments that are here regarding FCRA. So, so yeah, I will say to you, to our guest, Lalita, who is asking this question, thank you for all of your great comments and questions, all of you. We have actually, in partnership with, or in collaboration with HP, been researching many avenues on this particular question. And so the one that we will be using in the end will be the best suited for our needs.
Excellent. And we do have another one that came in And this one is asking, we are a global organization with presence in all 3 regions. Is it possible to apply in all regions?
I have more questions for you, Fran. If it's, it depends, I think would be, first of all, no, I would not apply 3 times. No, I would, going back to the heart of our program and some of what we've mentioned here in the call, you need to show, and if you go through the guidelines, hopefully this is also clear, but you need to be able to show how you're connected to the communities that you're serving, and that you will be also serving and continuing to serve, I should say, with the digital equity solution that you're planning to build in this accelerator. And so if you are a global organization that is, let's say, headquartered in India, and you have a deep presence in the local communities that you are already serving and plan to serve with the solution that you hope to build in our accelerator, then please do apply in India, for example. If you are an organization akin to some of the larger INGOs, like Mercy Corps, for example, then this is probably not the best suited program for you. So I hope that's helpful. Again, the application, we've given a lot of space and opportunity for applicants to really make your case. And so if you are really sure that this is the right program for you, then make your case. And we will be thoughtfully and intentionally reading every single application, but definitely only apply to one as one of the countries. We are going to be, and if it's helpful to understand this as well, we are going to be evaluating all applicants per country. So we're not going to be comparing India-based applicants with Morocco-based applicants, et cetera. We are only going to compare India-based applicants with other India-based applicants.
Excellent. Well, were there any other questions at this time? It looks like the trickle has kind of slowed, but we're happy to continue to answer them as you have them, if you just drop them in the chat. And thank you, Lolita, for your enthusiasm. We are looking forward to hoping to address the issue as well, and get you some clearer guidelines that will hopefully allow you to move forward.
Yeah, thank you. It looks like we also have another question, and I will say, because you've mentioned this term, that skilling is something that we are including in this, and so just continue to really draw all of your answers to the application directly to, and tie it directly to how it's supporting a digital equity solution in order to address a digital inequity challenge very directly. Just make sure you're able to do that.
All right, we have another question that asks, we run accelerator programs apart from other ecosystem programs in climate tech. We've been running programs for women-led businesses and also for aspiring women entrepreneurs. One of the focus areas is digital businesses and digitally enabled businesses. Is that a good fit?
I'm going to let you answer that question, anonymous attendee. So look, if you are serving one of the communities that we have defined as traditionally underserved or marginalized, which it sounds like you are, because you've mentioned women here, then you've met that selection criteria. If you already have proven impact serving these communities and showing, how your work is able to further, support these women, that's great. Excuse me. And if you have a plan for how working in the accelerator program will allow you to build out either scale or build out a new digital equity oriented project, that's awesome. So, I'll let you decide if, I don't know the details behind what you've shared, but As long as you're meeting those factors, then you should be eligible to apply. And I would definitely, read the guidelines. If it feels like a good fit, then go for it. Any last questions for folks? And actually, while you all are here with us, it would be wonderful if you wouldn't mind just dropping into I know it's the Q&A, just drop in how you heard about our webinar. Was it through word of mouth? Was it through an email blast? Was it through social media? Was it by going to our website and exploring the application and then seeing that we had webinars available? If you're able to drop that into the Q&A chat, that would be awesome for us, as we are learning every time we do something like this. We'd love to learn more about how we can better reach prospective applicants. Thank you all so much for making some time at the beginning of your day to speak with us and to hear more about our program. Also, let's make sure we will make sure through the website. Awesome. We will make sure to drop our email here as well, and you'll see it on our final slide. If you have any further questions or want to follow up with our team, so it's myself and Andrew and the rest of the team, we all have access to this same email, and we check regularly, and we will definitely read those emails and do our best to answer any questions that you have there.
And I just dropped the email into the chat. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to us. This has been great. I hope that this has been, we actually do have one other question before we wrap up. Asking if they understood correctly. The organization can be based out of India and still apply for the Indian program if the work is in India. To clarify, do you mean the organization is not based out of India? And if the work is still in India, they can apply? Because if the organization is based outside of, if they're based outside of India, and the work is primarily in India, can they still apply for the India program?
So if your organization is primarily working in India, even if you're based somewhere else, then you should apply for the India program. So think, and I believe we kept this number around, right, 75%. We are looking for something around 75% of your work is in that particular country. Well, at least I should say that is ideal. We do want to see everyone who applies and evaluate them accordingly vis-a-vis one another. We are much more interested in locally based organizations that are working in the communities that they're serving. So whether that's locally based in India or regionally based, we would rather see that, for example, than to see a global organization that works in 150 countries and has 5% of their program in India, and then they apply for the India program. They're probably not going to make it to the final round if that's the case. But if you are locally, regionally, even internationally based, and the majority of your programming is in one of our 3 countries, obviously, if it's in India, then I would definitely apply for the India program. I hope that answers your question.
Excellent. Well, yet again, if you have anything further, please feel free to copy the email that's in our chat and reach out to us. We will be sure to turn those around as quickly as we can. Otherwise, we hope that this has been enlightening and that it has encouraged you all to apply. And we look forward to seeing all of your applications.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, for leading this call. And thank you all of you for joining us today. We are on, it's past 10 p.m. here on the East Coast, so I apologize if I don't sound as enthusiastic as I feel on the inside. We are just really thrilled to meet all of you anonymously through your applications. And again, you have time. You have a month from today in the US anyway. So take your time, read through the guidelines, and if after reading through everything online and reading through the prompt questions we have for you in the guidelines. You still have questions, please do not hesitate to email us at all at the email that Andrew has dropped here in the chat, which you can also, of course, find on our website, www.aspendigitalequity.org. And with that, we'll wish you a good night from over here and wish you a fantastic rest of your day. And best of luck with your application. We really look forward to meeting you again there. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone.